The elevation code. The door at the end of the hall. I want to tell you a story about a woman I'll call Grace. Not because that was her name, but because that is what she eventually found. Grace had walked a long road, the kind of road that looked manageable from the beginning, and then revealed itself slowly, turn by turn, to be far longer and more complicated than she had prepared for. She had tried many doors along the way. The first was the door of approval. She lived inside that room for years, performing, pleasing, adjusting herself to fit whatever shape the people around her seemed to need. It was warm in there, comfortable, and so quietly suffocating that she almost didn't notice until she could barely breathe. The second was the door of distraction. Noise, movement, busyness, anything to avoid the silence that waited whenever she slowed down. That room was full of light. But every morning she woke up and it was gone, and she felt emptier than the night before. The third door, the one she wanted most, was the door of certainty. She knocked on it for years. It never opened. She never understood why. And so one day, after a season that I can only describe as the longest of her life, Grace found herself simply sitting on the floor of the hallway, her back against the wall, too tired to perform, too hollowed out to pretend, too far from where she started to go back, and too exhausted to keep looking for a new way forward. She sat in the silence. And in the silence, not loudly, not dramatically, not with the fanfare she had always imagined revelation would carry, something simply said, "The door you've been walking past was always meant for you." She looked up. At the far end of the hall, there was a door she had seen 100 times and always avoided. It was not inviting. There was nothing glamorous about it. It looked like difficulty, like surrender, like everything she had spent years trying not to face. She stood up, and this time she walked toward it. What was on the other side was not a reward, not an easy life, not the end of struggle. It was something rarer than any of those things. It was clarity, the deep, unshakable kind that cannot be bought or borrowed or rushed, the kind that only comes after you have exhausted every other option and finally stopped running from the one thing you were always meant to face. And standing in that room, Grace understood something that changed everything. Every closed door had been a direction, not a rejection. Every hard season had been a preparation, not a punishment. Every moment she had spent sitting on the floor of the hallway had been quietly building the strength she needed for what came next. She wept for a while, then she dried her face, and she began. I tell you Grace's story because I know some of you are sitting in the hallway right now, tired, wondering if the road is real, wondering if the waiting will ever end. It will. The room at the end of the hall belongs to you. It always has. Trust what you cannot yet see. Today's code. Your darkest season is not the end of your story. It is the chapter that makes the rest make sense. See you in the next episode.